What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about how the Green Bay Packers lost to the LA Chargers this past weekend. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Their defense is vastly improved, but they're still an 11th ranked defense in the league, 21th against the pass, 25th against the rush. You got to look at these kind of things and pay attention to it. The defense is better, but they were such trash for the last several years with Aaron Rodgers carrying them on their back that any level of elevation had this, pausing for a moment and saying, hey, indeed, times might be a bit better. But that was assuming that the offense was still going to be prolific because of Aaron Rodgers. When you get shut down offensively the way the Chargers did to them yesterday, you got to pay attention to that because certainly, obviously, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have but so many weapons to utilize, and we get all of that. We understood that. But the flip side to it is that, he's found a way, against Detroit. He's found a way against other opponents this season. One would anticipate you could find a way against the Chargers.
So it's not a good look that the Green Bay Packers lost, but I don't think this is the end of their season or anything like that. I think they're still in the front running for the NFC. It's not a good look, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think this is cause for serious concern, like they're out of it or, there's all these things that they have to account for. But like I said, it doesn't look good, but I think the Aaron Rodgers is going to be okay and the Green Bay Packers, they're going to be all right. So let's continue.
We'll say is this. The Chargers are not the same team when Ingram and Bosa are on the corners coming after you. It's a different monster. When them two brothers are together,
the right word.
When they come to you from the edges and you have to, that's pocket containment for you. You ain't getting outside with those two. And when those two are coming at you from both ends, and you sit up there and you are literally in the pocket, that does make life significantly more difficult for you. I recognize that as being the case yesterday. I understand it. I appreciate what Aaron Rodgers said. But I do believe you have some reason to be concerned because there should never be an instance where your offense is that neutralized with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, particularly when your defense is good, but certainly not elite. That happened yesterday. That's why I'm concerned.
So definitely the Chargers do have some ballers on the defensive side of the ball. So like I said, I don't know if this is cause for concern for the Green Bay Packers. It's not good, but I think they'll be okay. And as far as the Chargers, like I said, they do have some ballers on D with Bosa and Ingram. But let's not forget that the Chargers and Phillip Rivers are good to build you up, only to let you down when it counts. So I can never get too high on our Chargers ever again because they let me down so many times where I've been so hyped up and think it's going to be a good year or they're going to win this game. And here we go. Phillip Rivers blows the game. He throws an interception, fumbles, or just does something stupid to where the Chargers just can't make it. Because if you really want to get technical, the Chargers could still win the AFC West. They could do it, but they'd have to go through Patrick Mahomes if he's back in the Kansas City Chiefs, and they'd have to do a couple other things. But I don't know. Let's continue.
First of all, I'm not concerned, partly because Minnesota and Detroit should have won their games yesterday, and they lost in heartbreaking fashion. And so that really helps the Packers. This loss isn't that big a deal, and Chicago stinks. So I think the Packers will be fine. I want to get to Rodgers, though. He was limited in practice this week because of a knee. But I'm wondering, I've heard nothing about this. It looked to me, Ryan, like a shoulder sort of, based on the weak-armed throws. One thing about Aaron Rodgers is, and it could easily be, you generate stuff from your lower body, obviously, but Aaron Rodgers has always had a laser-guided missile coming out of his hand. And I saw multiple atypically weak throws from Rodgers yesterday. So if that is something, whether it's a knee or something else that we don't know about, that's hampering him somehow, that could be nagging and stay with him the rest of the year, then I'd be concerned. But barring that, so long as this is something he can heal from and return to form that we've seen in the last several weeks, I'm not really stressing it. I think the defense is much improved, Ryan. And the main thing is, I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. And Stafford, I actually do believe in this year, but they lost a tough one. And I don't believe in Trubisky, so I'm not worried about the Packers.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so the same here. I'm not worried about the Packers too much. Like I said, it doesn't look good, but I think the Packers will be okay. I think Aaron Rodgers will be okay. I think this is just a hiccup in the season that happens. Sometimes you just lose one and things just don't work out for you. But like I said, I think the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers are still in the running for being NFC champions. And I think this is just a bump in the road. So let's continue.
It depends on how you box this up. If you're looking at Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers and saying that they should win the NFC North, then I don't necessarily think you're worried. But if you're looking at the bigger picture when you involve the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously the team that I think is the best in the NFL, in the New Orleans Saints, this is an issue. Because this is the way the Packers have played all season. They just finally lost. And we talk about this much improved defense. This was a defense that started out the season well, holding the Chicago Bears to a very low score, and then coming back the next week and playing well against the Denver Broncos. But since then, they've given up points. This is a defense that gives up very huge plays. And we saw the same thing with Mike Williams yesterday for the Los Angeles Chargers. And also, Matt LaFleur, and I've said this all season, he is not reinventing offense. This isn't an innovative, schematic-heavy offense that is scheming people open. What we've seen against the Detroit Lions, what we've seen against the Oakland Raiders, what we've seen against the Kansas City Chiefs is Aaron Rodgers do Aaron Rodgers-like things. And then on top of that, Aaron Jones has emerged as a passing threat and a threat in the rush as well. But this team has holes. This team isn't great. And if something is wrong with Aaron Rodgers is a little banged up, then you have to be worried because he carries this team offensively. And defensively, they're better, but they're only better because we're comparing them to themselves from the years past. And so this team has a lot of work to do. They can't just walk into stadiums and win. And listen, I know it's not a lot to do in Wisconsin. They may have went out to LA a little early and had some people eating at, they went to crustaceans and maybe they saw eye pick. But what they need to do is get back and get focused, find ways to stop the deep ball, and do some things that makes offense easier for Aaron Rodgers.
So I agree with Ryan Clark there. So definitely the Green Bay Packers, they were exposed. They do have some things that they need to improve upon and take care of, which is kind of good that they lost now at the midpoint of the season so they can remedy all those things that they need to take care of. Because once they get into really start playing with the big boys like the Niners, the Saints, and the Seattle Seahawks, they're definitely not going to be able to play. They're going to be running on all cylinders. But again, like I said before, all those other teams have caught L's except for the 49ers. So all those teams have been exposed except for the 49ers. So I think this is a big deal it doesn't look good for the Green Bay Packers, but I think it's just par for the course and that they'll be okay and they will learn from their mistakes. So let's continue.
And I agree with you and Rodgers, actually. I also agreed with his point, even when the quarterback says it right after the game, maybe we were reading our own press clippings, so we needed some humble pie. It had the feel of that kind of game. And I'm with you on the injuries. That's why I brought it, if you're going to make weak arm throws, if that's Rodgers, because he has something that's going to last the rest of this season, that's going to be a problem. But what have we always said about him? Even if the defense isn't way better, I think it's been better than in recent years. And their running game is now better. They have a multi-purpose back who can do some things. And so what have we always said? Rodgers gave him a chance even without that stuff. If you give him an improved defense, and we can debate how improved it is, and a guy out of the backfield who can make things happen, then even though I agree with you, the Saints are way better on paper, Rodgers could beat that team in the playoffs, couldn't he, if he's healthy?
Well, if he's healthy, but not looking away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I would never outcount Rodgers, especially with the squad that he has now and the things that he's been doing this year. So, like I said, all these teams, like I said in other videos, they're all pretty much, I can't really tell who's going to do what until they really start playing against each other. The New Orleans Saints are on fire right now. The Seattle Seahawks are balling right now with Russell Wilson. The 49ers are on fire right now too. They're undefeated. They're the only undefeated team in the league right now. So it's kind of hard to tell to see who's going to do what until they really start playing against each other. But like I said, all those guys, all those other teams have caught L's except for the 49ers. So they've all been exposed. I think they all have things to work on. And if anything, I think Aaron Rodgers can definitely jump back from this loss right here and recover. And like I said, all those teams playing against each other, they're all ballers. So I don't know who's going to be able to do what until they play against each other. So let's continue.
Well, Rodgers could beat that team, but they're going to be difficult to beat without the referees if you have to go through New Orleans anyway. And then you see what San Francisco is able to do with that rush, with that front line of first rounders. And so I think this team has to continue to get better. And for Aaron Rodgers, there has to be at some point, when you look at Matt LaFleur and you listen to Aaron Rodgers, these aren't necessarily people that inspire. right? The reason you follow Aaron Rodgers into battle is because you know he's better than everyone else. That when he's on the field and you match quarterback for quarterback, you're never scared that the other guy is more talented than Aaron Rodgers. The only time you'd even have that feeling is when everybody grabbed their popcorn to watch Kansas City and Green Bay play if Matt Moore wasn't having to be the quarterback. And so I understand that. But Aaron Rodgers has one Super Bowl. He's been to one Super Bowl. And when you look at a talent like him, a talent that he is, you expect more. But this team has to do more around Aaron Rodgers, or it will be the same thing this year. It will be, we think he's one of the best that ever played, maybe the best to do it, but he'll be watching the Super Bowl along.